wait a second, did someone really steal the church from a village? Let's find out in this new episode of German Sayings. Die Kirche im Dorf lassen. Die Kirche im Dorf lassen translates to something like to keep, to leave the church in town. However, there doesn't seem to be an exact equivalent of that one in English, but it's similar to phrases and sayings like, now, that is going too far, or something like keeping a sense of proportion. It's die Kirche Singular, die Kirchen Plural, and das Dorf Singular, die Dörfer Plural. Die Kirche im Dorf lassen is a very frequent German saying, and it's used by many Germans very often, frequently, and they like to use it. So whenever you think someone is exaggerating quite a lot and quite heavily, you could say something like, lass doch mal die Kirche im Dorf. Hey, ich hab doch gar nichts gemacht. Next to this rather direct statement, you could also say something like, jetzt wollen wir die Kirche mal im Dorf lassen. Which basically is the same, but it sounds rather indirect. So, maybe a bit more polite, I don't know. In this case, the verb lassen, to leave something, also means to leave it at that. Etwas dabei belassen. So you want to keep something the way it is, and you don't want that thing to change. No. This will become even more obvious now, because I'm going to talk about this saying's etymology. This saying's origin, so to speak. As you might have figured out already, this has to do with a huge part, a major part of Germany's cultural background, so to speak. Yeah, back in the good old times, it was very common to do little processions, Prozessionen, die Prozession, through towns and through streets in town. However, some towns and some villages especially were too small to do that. Many people prefer to stay in town, and you never know which nightmare creatures might linger around your village or your town. No, might be dangerous to go outside of town. Another interesting aspect about the origin of this phrase is that back in medieval times many new towns were founded. But unfortunately not many of those towns had their own parish, die Pfarrei, and they relied on towns that were already established and little villages as well. But unfortunately, citizens in those villages and those towns didn't want to share their parish and their money, after all, with the newly founded towns. So they were a bit reluctant, you could say. They wanted to keep everything the way it was. So in other words, those little towns and villages wanted to keep their churches within town, within their village. They didn't want to share it with anyone else. Alternative versions. Another very common phrase that basically means the same is den Ball flach halten, to keep the ball flat, meaning to keep it low and not to shoot it high into the sky. Rhyme. Somebody is expecting you to stick to the facts and not to exaggerate. However, young German folks might rather say something like bleib locker, bleib cool. Yeah, keep cool, guys, keep cool. And feel free to share this video with friends, family, on social media, and with anyone you know that might be interested in those topics. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos about the German language and culture. If you want to support me, then go ahead, find links to my PayPal and my Patreon pages in the video description down below, because honestly, I couldn't do all of this without that help regarding the time I can spend on doing those things primarily. Thank you very much for your support, guys. That is really appreciated. So yeah, however, thanks for watching. I'm your Vlog Dave. Tschüss und bis zum nächsten Mal.